Supergirl Season 2, Episode 3, Welcome to Earth. Now, as a nerd, I gotta be honest, I really love this episode because it was full of freaking references. Because, of course, our very, very special guest in this episode was Linda Carter, who is Wonder Woman, or was Wonder Woman at least. Wonder Woman! That's like the old song. But she was in this episode. They made like a million references to her. Formerly being Wonder Woman. They had a really awesome reference during an action scene too, but they referenced the invisible jet at the end of the episode. It's like, oh, if you like Air Force One, you should see my other jet. That was really cool. They had a reference to her transformation, which I thought was actually really cool, because during the scene, I think it was during, I want to say the second attack, when Kara got hit and she was set on fire, I was watching it and I wasn't thinking about the reference at the time. I was like, it would be cool if she did like the spin, because, you know, when characters like Superman or Supergirl, anyone who can fly and, you know, like super speeds, it's always cool, at least to me, when they spin really fast to, like, you know, basically get the flames off of them. And I was like, that would be cool if she did that. And then she did, and it clicked as soon as I saw it, like, oh, not only did she spin to get rid of the fire, which I, already think is cool, but she also did, like, with her arms out, because that's a reference to how Wonder Woman would transform. It was like, oh, this is Diana. I couldn't think of her name for a second. This is Diana. And she would basically put her arms out and like spin in circles, and then they would just, you know, fade in, and then she'd be in costume as Wonder Woman. So I thought that was awesome. I was like, that's a cool reference. The invisible jet thing. They had a couple of references to like some real world stuff, because I'm pretty sure when I'm basically 100% sure when Kara was talking about her basically being super cool and stuff, she's like, how could anybody ever vote for that other guy? I like to assume that that was a reference to the current election coming up with, you know, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. So I thought that was pretty funny. They talk a lot about, you know, prejudice and stuff like that. It's, of course, you know, with any superhero thing, it's always about the mutants and stuff, but it's always the reflection of, you know, the real world and stuff. And they flat out mention the real world super early on with Jean, when he's like, you know, people fear what, you know, what they don't like, or, you know, basically try to get rid of what they don't like. He's like, I say that as both an alien and as someone who's worn the face of a black man for 15 years. So I was like, that was cool that they actually just flat out had him say that. But it was a fun episode. You know, they got the references and, you know, the real world stuff in here, and, you know, the deep message. But it was also cool because it had some pretty interesting action sequences. I actually thought the CG was pretty good for the Infernian character, like how people would be set on fire. I thought was pretty cool. It wasn't like, obviously it was fake fire, so it didn't look like people were really set on fire. But I thought it was kind of cool because it was almost like, it wasn't like normal fire. It was like people would be on fire, especially, you know, like the scene with Kara. It was like people could be on fire on different parts of their body, but it would stick. It was almost like someone like hit them with napalm, almost. That's kind of what it was like. And I was like, that's actually kind of cool. It's not just, oh, she shot fire and you either got caught in it or you didn't. It would be like, you know, people would be set on fire, and then if it, you know, of course, if it stayed on them, which typically it would if they're human, then it would engulf them in flames. But it would be like in patches and stuff. And like when Alex was hit, which was very fortunate for her, she just so happened to be hit directly into water. It wasn't like she was engulfed in flames. She was hit with the blast, but it was like on her chest and stuff. So I was like, it's kind of cool to me. I thought it was an interesting way to do it. So I thought that was pretty sweet. We, of course, have Kara, you know, as Kara the reporter, and I thought that was pretty cool too. You know, her kind of going through and kind of just living out her life as a reporter and trying to make things work, and realizing that as a reporter, she's not allowed to put herself into the piece. It's only the facts. It's not, you know, her slant towards, you know, aliens or against aliens. It has to just be, this is, you know, the case, and that's all there is to it. So I thought that was pretty cool, watching her kind of go through the motions and have to deal with that stuff. And Jimmy had his own little moment too, where he has to deal with Snapper, and he, you know, Snapper kind of takes control in the beginning of the episode, and it's like, okay. And by the end of the episode, Jimmy kind of, you know, gets it back. He's like, this is how it's going to happen. This is the headline. This is what we're doing, because I'm in control. I'll stay in my lane. You stay in your lane. You know, you don't get in my way as, you know, the temporary boss. I won't get in your way as, you know, head of the editorial department. So I thought it was cool. He had his little moment, and, you know, he stepped up to him and stuff. I was like, all right, that's pretty sweet. So Certainly enjoyed that. Of course, I think the best thing, outside of all the nerdy references that I really loved, the best thing had to be like the last 5 minutes of the episode, because not only do we have Linda Carter, who's the president in this episode, she turns out to be an alien at the end, which I don't really know if that's good or bad. Typically, it's like, oh, they do the thing, which I always kind of hated that, where it's like, characters walk away and their eyes, glow or something, and that's how we know they're an alien, which they did for Jean as well early on before we knew he was a good guy. But that's kind of what makes me think, all right, she doesn't have to be a villain just because they do that, because they kind of did it with Jean, and he ended up being, the Martian Manhunter. So it's like, she could end up being someone else who's a hero, but she could also be a villain. And I'm hoping they don't do that, because of course it's Linda Carter with her history as, Wonder Woman. I hope that they don't make her a villain, even though it's, she's just an actress, she's not actually Wonder Woman or anything, but I'm just hoping that they don't actually end up making her into like a villainous, alien. And the only reason well, not the only reason, because typically that's how it plays out, but the other reason I think she might be a villain is because with what she was trying to do in this episode, like, bringing humans and aliens closer together with this sort of alien amnesty deal, it kind of seemed like it would be the best choice to be like, hey, you happen to be an alien, at least to Jean, maybe not to Supergirl, because I understand it's like, oh, I don't want anyone to know this, I want it to be a secret and, well kept, but at least to Jean, where it's like, okay, you clearly, you'd keep this sort of secret, and I just thought there would probably be a scene in there somewhere like, hey, I'm an alien, don't freak out, that's kind of why I'm doing this, so that all aliens can, kind of be on Earth and be okay, and then maybe once everything's said and done, that's when she would reveal that she's an alien. But I don't know. She could have been hiding it for herself just to keep that secret, which is very smart, or she could be a villain. Who knows? But they have that there, so that's a little thing where clearly she'll be in multiple episodes, or she'll at least come back, I would assume. With the way they did it, it seemed like she was just there for those couple of days, sign the treaty and stuff, and take off. But technically, she didn't get to do that because of the the one villain of the episode. So maybe that's an easy way for them to, keep her on for a little bit until we, really learn the truth. And then the other thing, of course, is the very end of this episode, which I loved, and we get to see McGann come into this series, which I wasn't expecting at all. And we get Miss Martian, so I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I thought it was a great way, the way kind of the way they did it, and we get this totally new location. I'm assuming we'll see it a lot more, especially based on the ending. But I like the location. Alex ends up working with this FBI agent, or just regular cop, I guess. I was always somewhat, I forgot what role she said it. I think it was FBI or something like it. Maybe it was just regular cop. I think it was she's just a regular cop who just happens to be cool with aliens. But we get this cool bar setting where it's like it's a place for aliens to just go and they can be in their natural states. Like Jean, when he goes in, he goes straight into his normal Martian form. And I knew there was going to be something there. I'm like, clearly this woman's a Martian. Like, that was automatic, because she freaked out when she saw him. And I'm like, obviously this isn't because he's an alien where he looks different than the other aliens. It's like, no, she knows who he is, or something about him. And the first thing I thought was maybe it would be like his daughter or something, but he mentioned like they were actually killed, so it kind of made sense that it wouldn't be someone that he knew. Although that would have been cool too if it ended up just flat out being his daughter. That would have been a bit of a different change from the story that I know about Miss Martian. But it was cool. But like he goes and he chases after. He's like, who are you? Like he says like, you look familiar, but I think it's probably just they had like a automatic sort of psychic link. Possibly, I'm just kind of just making stuff up. But the point is, she turns around and she's Miss Martian. So I thought that was really awesome. I'm excited to see what they do with that. It gives me some fairly high hopes, because it's like, hey, we have Supergirl, we have Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, and despite the other shows like Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, they all have like a bunch of heroes together. They don't really utilize like the superpower thing of a bunch of heroes together. Like Flash is the biggest criminal for that, as far as I'm concerned, because he, like, the main character has superpowers. He's only fighting people with superpowers, and no hero ever has superpowers in that show. Like, they finally did it recently, and I'm sure that character is going to be gone super fast. They basically are gone, in the last episode. But it's like they never have superhero, like actual superpowered characters team up in that show. And that show only deals with superpowered characters. So, I'm just happy, like, man, I'm sure they'll have her in her human form for the most part. But there are a lot of times where we do see the Martian Manhunter and Supergirl fighting together. So it's like, as little as they're going to show it, at least we got it. I'm like, there's at least a show out there. Even if they do it a little bit, they're still managing to do it in the second season more than all the other DC shows have. Well, Legends of Tomorrow is only in its second season as well, but it has like 8 people, and none of them technically have superpowers. But it's just interesting. I was like, this show is like probably people's least favorite. Admittedly, like, it's not. I don't know. It's hard to say. This might be my least favorite out of the 4 DC shows on CW. But at least they have the superheroes together, and they actually fight using superpowers, like what they did with Superman and Jean in the other episode. We see them flying around. We see them teaming up to fight, together, and we actually get superhuman or just alien superpowered characters actually fighting together. And they seem to do that. They managed to actually use it more than any other show, even though the other shows always cross, like Arrow and Flash and Legends, they're all crossing over all the time. It's like, hey, remember this show? And they always talk about each other. And they always have superhumans, like I said, especially Flash or metahumans. And it's like, everyone in that show that's a villain has like superpowers. And all the good guys are just humans, except for Barry. And when they finally do have a hero come in, they'll only be in an episode or 2, but this show, they like, nope, it's a staple of the series. Martian Manhunter is in there. He might not be Martian Manhunter all the time. It might just be, John. But for the most part, we get to see them fight a lot. And I'm hoping that increases with McGann. I would hate for it to decrease. I don't think that would happen because Jean just helps her, if he needs to. So maybe he'll be showing her the ropes. We'll get to see some more Martian stuff. Maybe they'll go off on their own and do some, superhero work. And maybe we'll get to see all 3 of them fight together. Who knows? Like, we might be leading to some interesting stuff this season. But I was super happy to see that happen. I was very surprised by it. Like, it was a great reveal as far as I was concerned. Didn't think it would have any real value. I thought it would just be a cool ending scene. Like, oh, Jean learned about the bar, and so he goes in and he feels good that he can really be himself, even though he's accepted, where he works, and he's still seen as the leader and captain of all those people. This is a different sort of acceptance, and I thought this would just be a cool sequence, and that's all I thought was going to happen, and then it became like this really cool reveal. So I'm excited for the next episode. I don't really know what to expect from the Daxium character. I thought, of course, they have like the little fight scene and stuff, and he's super strong like Kara, and he finds out that his planet is effed up and stuff like that. So that's another thing. I don't know what his deal is going to be. They kind of got over their issues, like, hey, the history of our planets is really crazy, and our people always fought each other, but we're kind of just alone now, like, that's it, like, we're all we've got at this point. So not too sure how that's going to play out, but I'm excited to see what they do with that. And I don't know if I would assume he won't have all the same powers. I don't know if the Daxiums are Daxiums and they're all, they were like the same species at some point, and then some people branched off to a different planet, and so you have Kryptonians and Daxiums, and that's it. Like, technically they're the same species, just different lineages, or if they're literally like different, just a completely different species. So he might have totally different powers, than Kara, but he seems to have the same level of strength as her. He has the super speed, of course. We don't actually see him fly in this episode. He kind of just, when he leaves the DEO, he jumps out, and then he lands on the ground and he runs really fast. So he's got the super speed and super strength, but we don't know if he has flight yet, or, like heat vision and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see exactly where his storyline is headed, but I am excited to see where they take it. They kind of calmed him down. It's like, hey, this is what happened. Sorry, I instantly went to assuming that you were the one trying to kill the president. We can be okay. So I'm hoping that he has a fairly big role in the series. I kind of doubt it, but it would be cool. It would just be another way for them to add yet another superpowered character, which I don't know. Like I said, I have no idea how to expect that to play out, but I'm excited to see where they take it. We got two new, possibly heroes. We at least have one new hero with Miss Martian for sure, and we might have two with this Daxium character. Um, I don't know what to expect from him. I don't know if they're going to be going anywhere. Maybe they'll just give him the name Superboy. I don't know. Like it's really hard to tell. I was just trying to think. Like, all right, he can. Well, he can run super fast, so Superboy can't even do that. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with the guy, but excited for the next episode. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and a couple of reveals. And this one, of course, we have the president as an alien. I want to know if you guys think she's going to be a hero or a villain. And I want to know, of course, what you guys think about the reveal of Miss Martian, which is really awesome. And I want to know where you guys think they're going to take this Daxium character. He seems like he's fine. He's not just a straight up bad guy trying to kill all the humans. So there's a lot of possibilities. They might just be like, yeah, he's a good guy, and then he leaves and just goes to be a hero in a different city, so we never see him again. But I want to know where you guys think that's headed, how you guys feel about the Miss Martian thing, where you guys think the president stuff is headed. Is she going to be good? Is she going to be bad? And of course, want to know what you guys thought about the rest of the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.